story of Alain Christophe Traoré, better known to his many followers as Alino Faso, is one that, honestly, highlights the fragile relationship between neighboring West African nations. As a well-known social media influencer from Burkina Faso, he used his platform to voice strong support for the military junta that governs his home country. His online presence was significant, and his words really carried weight among a certain audience that shared his political views. His activities, however, did not go unnoticed by the government of Ivory Coast, where he was residing. The situation took a dramatic turn on January 10, 2025, when Ivorian authorities took him into custody in the city of Abidjan, marking the beginning of a serious and tragic international episode. The arrest itself was not a simple matter of public disturbance or a minor infraction. The charges brought against Alino Faso were of a very serious nature, reflecting the deep-seated mistrust that had been growing between the two countries for some time. Ivorian prosecutors accused him of several grave offenses, including espionage, which suggests they believed he was gathering secret information for a foreign power. He was also charged with spreading false news, an accusation often used against individuals whose online content is seen as a threat to national stability. Furthermore, he faced the charge of colluding with a foreign state, a direct claim that his actions were coordinated with and intended to benefit the government of Burkina Faso. For several months, Alino Faso remained in detention while these serious allegations hung over him. His case was more than just a legal battle for one individual. It became a symbol of the political and ideological divide separating Abidjan and Ouagadougou. While Ivory Coast viewed him as a potential agent of destabilization, many in Burkina Faso saw him as a patriot who was being unfairly targeted for his political opinions. His supporters argued that his only crime was speaking his mind and supporting his country's leadership. This period of his incarceration was filled with uncertainty, as diplomatic channels, already strained, struggled to find a resolution, and his followers anxiously awaited news. The context of his arrest is crucial to understanding the full scope of the incident. Relations between Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso had been deteriorating for years, long before Alino Faso was detained. Both nations had accused each other of harboring dissidents and supporting activities aimed at undermining the other's government. This atmosphere of mutual suspicion created a tense environment where any incident, especially one involving a public figure like Alino Faso, could quickly escalate. His arrest was not an isolated event, but rather a flashpoint in a long-simmering conflict, turning his personal legal troubles into a major diplomatic crisis that would soon take a much darker turn. The long months of Alino Faso's detention came to a shocking and tragic end on July 24, 2025. On that day, he was found dead inside his cell at the Abidjan Gendarmerie School, a high-security location where he was being held. The news of his death sent ripples of shock and anger far beyond the prison walls, immediately transforming a tense legal case into a major international incident. The circumstances surrounding his death were immediately contested and became the focal point of a storm of controversy. For his family and followers, the idea that a healthy and prominent individual could simply die in state custody was deeply troubling and demanded immediate answers from the Ivorian government. The official account from the Ivorian authorities painted a clear picture of suicide. According to their statement, Alino Faso had taken his own life. They provided specific details, reporting that he had first made an attempt to cut his wrists. When that failed, they claimed, he used a bedsheet from his cell to hang himself. This official version of events was presented as the factual conclusion of what had occurred. To show they were taking the matter seriously, the Ivorian justice system announced that it was opening a formal investigation to officially determine the exact circumstances that led to his death. This investigation was meant to provide transparency and confirm the initial findings. However, the official narrative provided by Ivory Coast was met with widespread skepticism, particularly from the government of Burkina Faso and its citizens. The detailed description of the suicide was seen by many as too convenient, a simple explanation for a very complicated situation. Questions arose almost immediately. How could a prisoner in a secure facility acquire the means to harm himself? Why were the guards not aware of his distress? For many, the story did not add up, and they suspected that the truth was being hidden. The official report, intended to close the chapter on his death, instead opened a floodgate of doubt and suspicion. the manner in which the news was handled only added to the growing anger and mistrust. According to officials in Burkina Faso, the Ivorian government failed to follow standard diplomatic protocols. They claimed that neither the Burkinabe embassy nor its consulate in Abidjan was formally notified of the death of one of their citizens. Instead, the family of Alino Faso reportedly learned about the tragedy through posts circulating on social media. An official public statement from Ivory Coast only came much later, approximately 72 hours after the incident. This perceived lack of respect and communication was viewed as a grave insult and further fueled the belief that something was terribly wrong. The reaction from Burkina Faso was swift, direct, and filled with indignation. On July 28, 2025, just 4 days after Alino Faso's death, the Burkinabe Foreign Minister, Karamoko Jean-Marie Traore, took a firm diplomatic step. He summoned the Ivorian charge d'affaires in Ouagadougou, the highest-ranking Ivorian diplomat in the country at the time, for a formal meeting. This action itself is a serious expression of a government's displeasure. During this meeting, the minister officially condemned the Ivorian government's handling of the entire affair, focusing heavily on the failure to communicate properly. The lack of an official notification was described as a serious breach of consular duties and a sign of disrespect. The government of Burkina Faso did not just criticize the poor communication, it outright rejected the official cause of death provided by Ivory Coast. Minister Traore made it clear that his country did not believe the story of suicide. In a powerful and accusatory statement, he referred to the death not as a suicide, but as a crapuleux assassinat, which translates to a criminal murder or a heinous assassination. This was a direct accusation that Alino Faso had been killed while in the custody of the Ivorian state. By using such strong language, Burkina Faso was escalating the situation from a dispute over procedure to an accusation of a state-sponsored crime, dramatically raising the stakes. In light of these grave accusations, Burkina Faso issued a clear set of demands to the Ivorian government. The primary demand was for transparency and clarity in the investigation. They insisted that the inquiry into Alino Faso's death could not be merely a formality, but had to be a genuine and open process to uncover the full truth. Ouagadougou wanted to be assured that all evidence would be examined and all possibilities considered, not just the official suicide theory. This demand for transparency was a call for accountability, signaling that Burkina Faso would not let the matter rest without a satisfactory explanation backed by credible evidence. Furthermore, a critical demand was made for the immediate repatriation of Alino Faso's body back to Burkina Faso. This was important not only for his family to be able to bury him according to their customs, but also for symbolic reasons. Minister Traore emphasized that Alino Faso remained a Burkinabe citizen even though he had reportedly lost his Ivorian nationality, and therefore his home country had a right and a duty to reclaim him. Returning his body would also allow Burkina Faso to potentially conduct its own autopsy, a clear sign that they did not trust the results of any investigation conducted solely by Ivorian authorities. The demand for his remains was a powerful assertion of national sovereignty. The tragic case of Alino Faso is not happening in a vacuum. It is the latest and most severe blow to the already fractured relationship between Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. For months and even years, the two neighbors have been drifting apart, their diplomatic ties slowly unraveling. This single death has now become a major diplomatic crisis, crystallizing all the underlying tensions that have been building. It touches upon fundamental principles of international relations, including the protection of citizens living abroad, the importance of clear communication between governments, and the proper treatment of individuals held in detention. The incident has pushed their strained relationship to a breaking point. This crisis underscores the critical importance of consular communication, which is the formal process by which countries look after the interests of their citizens in foreign nations. When a citizen is arrested or dies abroad, diplomatic protocols mandate that the host country must promptly inform the person's embassy or consulate. Burkina Faso's claim that it learned of the death from social media represents a profound failure in this system. Such a breakdown in communication does more than just cause administrative problems. It breeds mistrust and suspicion. It gives the impression that the host country has something to hide, making a peaceful and factual resolution much more difficult to achieve. Looking forward, the path to resolving this crisis depends entirely on transparency. For tensions to ease, the Ivorian investigation into Alino Faso's death must be seen as credible and impartial, not just by its own citizens but by the government and people of Burkina Faso. This might require allowing independent observers or even Burkinabe representatives to participate in the process. Sharing evidence, autopsy results, and witness testimonies openly would be a crucial step toward rebuilding a small amount of trust. Without a transparent process, the accusation of murder will linger, poisoning any chance of reconciliation between the two nations for the foreseeable future. Ultimately, this sad episode serves as a powerful reminder of why open dialogue and adherence to international norms are essential, especially between neighboring countries. When communication fails and suspicions are allowed to grow, a single tragic event can threaten regional stability. Protecting citizens, respecting diplomatic protocols, and committing to transparency are not just abstract ideals, they are the practical tools that prevent misunderstandings from escalating into open hostility. The futures of both Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, as well as the stability of the wider West African region, depend on their leaders' ability to navigate this crisis with wisdom and a genuine commitment to finding the truth.
Today we have really bad news. We have bad news. One of our brothers, who is also an influencer, an activist, a Burkinabe who was living in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. I remember here that the president of Ivory Coast is the same Alassane Ouattara, whom we have spoken on this platform several times about, the enemy of Africa. So this is our brother who is from Burkina Faso, was residing in Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire if you like, was arrested in January. The reason for his arrest, they claim that he was planning with foreign countries to destabilize Côte d'Ivoire, right? They claim that they were going to provide all the proofs. For the past close to 7 months, they never provided any proofs, nothing to completely show that he was working with foreign countries to destabilize Côte d'Ivoire. He wasn't caught with any arms. He wasn't caught with anything that was implicated. He wasn't a terrorist. He was a businessman and also supporting internally displaced people and refugees. That was all he was doing. So this our brother has been in detention for close to 7 months, and this weekend he died. When he died, the Attorney General of Ivory Coast said yesterday or so that he committed suicide, that he used the bedspread which he was using in his cell to commit suicide. Several questions come in here, right? Where is the proof of the autopsy to show us that he died due to suicide? Where are the proofs which you guys said since January that you were going to provide to show that he has been working with foreign countries to destabilize Côte d'Ivoire? Where are the proofs? Okay, where are the proofs? Secondly, where he was locked up. He was locked up at the gendarmerie school in Côte d'Ivoire. Is that where people who are supposedly charged with some criminal activities supposed to be locked up? Right? That is another question. Is he not supposed to be locked up in some cell or something? Why a gendarmerie school? So when you say he committed suicide, are the cells having some bars where someone can easily take, a bedspread and wrap it and then hang it on that bar and then strangle themselves to death? Is that what they're trying to tell us? Right? Another thing is, let's assume that truly, yes, he was a terrorist. Several times, Burkina Faso's government caught terrorists with arms, mercenaries from Côte d'Ivoire, sent to go and destabilize Burkina Faso. We have said that here several times. But Burkina Faso's government captured them and sent them back to Côte d'Ivoire. Why could they not do the same? They also did the same thing in Mali. Malian government captured them, but did not sentence them. They sent them back to Côte d'Ivoire. This our innocent brother, who was not even carrying arms, nothing. But they took his life and came out to tell us that he committed suicide. Our question is, show us the autopsy reports from competent doctors. I've told you guys several times here that Alassane Ouattara is an enemy of Africa. He is an enemy of Africa. I don't care if Ivorians are going to like this or not. And another thing I want to advise Pan-Africanists, if you know that you are a true Pan-Africanist and you are fighting for the freedom of Africa, please avoid going to Ivory Coast, because they are going to take your life away from you. They did the same thing to one of our brothers who is from Benin Republic. He escaped Benin and was living in Ivory Coast, and just because he was criticizing the president of Benin, they arrested this brother and deported him to Benin, where there's danger. I don't know what he is going through right now. I don't even know if he is still alive. My dear brothers and sisters, I don't want to go too far. The government of Ivory Coast has taken away the life of our brother. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you so much. See you in my next one.